It's College SportsCast. We are presented by the Fanboys. Hey guys, it's Brad with College SportsCast. Tonight we are going to be talking about our prize picks to start with here. I'll get that up on the screen. So use code CSCAST at prizepicks.com for a 100% deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, the most fun way to play daily fantasy sports, known for its wide range of stats to use and sports with 30 plus sports to choose from, including NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, college football, and basketball. Make sure to use our promo code CSCAST to double your entry deposit for your daily Prize Picks fun. All right, guys. So tonight we're going to be doing our Hot Topics Pick 6 and No Fly Zone segment show. I've got John Roberts with me.
What's up?
I've got Jason Harrison with me. Tonight,
what's going on? I had it on mute.
You did, man. So tonight, Jason's a Kentucky Wildcat fan, I think. Look behind him. Look behind him back there.
There you go. There you go.
Ole Miss fan.
I'm just messing with Jason. Kentucky and Ole Miss are playing right now, so I'm just messing with him. All right, looks like we've already got somebody jumped in our chat room.
Man, already. What up?
It is Jay. Jay, did Clemson revive another one? Did they come back and beat BC or no?
I didn't even. I had it quick. I had
they
it
were
on
down.
for like a very
BC's a terrible
team, and then I turned it off.
I was messing with Jay earlier today, talking about how bad BC was, and then I turned it on, and BC was ahead 30-23 at halftime.
Wow.
So I don't know.
Wow.
I didn't see. I don't know if they come back and won. So no Clemson basketball news. No.
Well, that means that they lost, right? If he's already saying that, right?
They were down 30-23 at half to Boston College. I do know that.
I'd have to look and see if I spot a score update, but like I said, I had put it on and then realized, hey, there were some other games I'd rather watch instead.
Well, Kentucky and Ole Miss is playing right now, so Jason and I are both interested in this game, so we might be interrupting our little stuff right here tonight just to, update the Kentucky and Ole Miss game.
We interrupt our coverage. Go live.
Right?
We're going to start about 9-10. We're going to start about 9-10.
Yeah.
This Wake Forest and Duke game is getting interesting this last minute 5.
What's the score in it?
70-66, minute 5.
Wake or Duke?
Duke.
All right.
Change the subject.
We're gonna actually talk about some football news. Okay, so tomorrow, February 1st, is the National Signing Day. It's not nearly as big a deal as it used to be. because they have the early signing period. But there is some interesting things to talk about when it comes to National Signing Day tomorrow. So we're going to talk about a little bit. I did look at ESPN's rankings today. I normally don't go by ESPN's ranking. I kind of like Rivals most of the time. But this is all coming from ESPN rankings, just so I say that up front. But out of the ESPN rankings, there are 4 top 100 recruits who remain uncommitted.
Oh, wow.
Going into National Signing Day tomorrow. The first one of those is probably the most interesting, and that is Jaden Rashada, quarterback who just about 10, 11 days ago asked out of his commitment, signing commitment actually, to Florida because he was told that he was going to have a $13 million NIL deal, and it fell through.
Wow.
Man, let's just stop right there. Let's stop right there.
13 million, guys.
Yeah.
Stop right there.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me this high school kid
yes
was about to, and you're right, I'm gonna get to Colorado in a second, was about to go somewhere and said, you know what? I just don't love the university no more. You guys don't do good business. Like, that is what it's come to. That's why, man. Hey, listen.
I know.
So what was the deal with the, like, was it no longer what he thought it was as far as 13?
So when I say 13, I actually seen a number. It was supposed to be $13.5 million. Okay, I have not researched it enough to know exactly who the deal was with. Okay, but what I do know is that the deal fell through, and as soon as the deal fell through, this kid asked out of his signing commitment. He signed on the early signing period, and Florida released him.
Well, I mean, what do you do? I mean, he wanted out, and you know, hey.
So the doctors at Florida wouldn't pay him?
I'm not sure who it was. I would have to research the story a little bit more. I'm just being upfront with everybody. I do not know exactly who it was that they were supposed to have this deal with, but $13.5 million is the most that I have heard.
I mean, Bryce Young got $1 million early.
Man, that has to be
just to think about that. Let's think about that. Like, Bryce Young had right away had gotten $1 million when they first started doing the NIL thing. Now, he had at least 1 year of being a backup.
He did
before they went into the NIL, before NIL was allowed, and he was, Saban announced that he was, in the neighborhood of $1 million or at $1 million, and that was kind of where you saw, like, everybody kind of started going, what, Now, my question, and I've always asked this question, and I've never gotten a definitive answer, because I often wonder what.
I mean, Jay says it was Gator Collective. I do know it was Gator Collective. I do know that.
What goes into some of this, and I know that it's collective groups like Gator Collective. I think Auburn's is called like On to Victory or something like that. Anyway, what if a head coach has a business? Has anybody and can they themselves
back paying a kid?
Man.
Yeah, because that's what I mean. Like, what if they go through their business and do it? Say, like, Nick Saban's Mercedes-Benz, dealership,
right? And they back their own kid through a collective, right? Correct. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But so,
I mean, I don't think it's dirty. I don't think it's dirty because now we're all out in the open with paying kids. So it's not like we're not sitting there going like, well, it's cheating. It's not cheating because it's, I mean, it's all out in the open. It's a collective. Like, do you have to go through the collective?
Yeah.
Sure, I guess. And if you do, I mean, he just joins his business in the collective. I wouldn't sit there. I mean, again, I don't think it's cheating. I just wanted to know kind of how that gets viewed.
I don't think it should be allowed, but right now in the world that we live in, it probably is.
I mean, but like, how are you going to stop it?
Right. I think one way to stop it. I'm glad you said that. One way to stop it is, you remember how back in the day, the first round draft picks in NBA and NFL, they would get a shitload of money, a ton of money up front,
and they put a cap on it.
They put a cap on.
Yeah,
13 million.
I know, guys. That's what I said.
You got to.
Now, was that? I mean, I guess because again, we don't know the full details of the deal, but like, I was just wondering, like, is that just to sign, or was that there's something that was supposed to go, or is there miscommunication on the deal itself?
That deal to be with Florida, and the deal fell through somehow, and he's backed out of his signing and his commitment. And not only that, Florida let him go, okay? And this past weekend, he visited TCU. And he's the second-ranked QB in the class, according to ESPN. He's the 31st ranked player, I think, the second-ranked QB. This is according to ESPN, of course. And before that, before he committed to Florida, he committed to Miami, and then uncommitted to Miami, and then committed to Florida on a promise of a $13.5 million deal. And now tomorrow's signing day, and he
what's the guy's name again?
Jaden Rashada is his name.
Okay.
He visited TCU, but there's 4 schools that are listed that they think he might sign with tomorrow: Arizona State, Washington, California, and TCU. And he just visited TCU.
Man, that's tough, man. But paying a kid that much money, he's making more. I'm not going to say that, man. He's coming in making more than college coaches, assistant coaches. Man, that's now to
so.
Each their
I mean,
own.
hell, doesn't Saban only make $9 million or something? I mean,
he's like 11 now.
Somebody, I think Debo is higher than him by a little bit, but I think that Nick Saban has a clause in that contract that every time somebody
but still 13.5 is more than Saban's making.
That's
right. That is true.
That's what I'm saying. Think about that.
But I mean, like, you also got to think. I mean, now look, I get it. There's a difference between a kid coming out of college and going into the NFL versus a kid coming out of high school going into college making this money. But there are several, if not, I mean, like most of your top tier or all of your top tier players in the NFL make more than their coach.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah.
So that's not. I mean,
but that's the NFL.
This right here is, like I said, there's a difference because they've had at least 3 years of growing up in an environment where they are away from the confines of their home and their parents and their
commodities.
And they have at least gone, up against, better competition than high school.
Right.
Because I mean, every level that you go up, you're going to see better talent. That's why it's always ridiculous to say that, like, Georgia or Alabama or name your school could be the 31st NFL team or whatever. They could beat it. They could beat the lowest ranked NFL team. No, they can't, because they're the guys on that team, there's 5 or 6 guys, or there might be 8 guys that get into the NFL versus an NFL team has, 53 guys that are in the NFL. It's 53 guys that are in the NFL. The college team's not going to do it, and it's the same way with again the prove, like them proving themselves. They haven't faced a roster that was everybody's
Right.
in college.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
everybody's in, whatever. They faced, maybe a roster where there might be 2 teams that they face where there's multiple guys that are going to D1. They probably don't play an entire season where there's multiple guys on every team because they're not going to be in a league like that. So,
Yep. So my next person that I want to mention for signing today, tomorrow, is Cormani McLean. This kid was committed to Miami and has flipped. He did not sign in the early signing period, but has flipped his commitment before tomorrow to Colorado. He is the number 14th ranked recruit in the ESPN Top 100 and the top cornerback. And of course, Colorado is Deion Sanders now. And Deion Sanders landed the top cornerback last year in Travis Hunter, I think is his name. Hunter is the last name, I know. So this would be 2 years in a row that Deion Sanders has flipped the top ranked cornerback. And I find that kind of interesting.
well, I mean, you get one of the best cornerbacks teaching the best cornerbacks. I mean, that makes sense.
Right. But it's interesting that he can flip the top guy 2 years in a row.
I just think Deion. Listen, Deion is about to create. Watch this word.
Prime.
Chaos. Chaos. He is going to create chaos.
Jay, I'm sorry, man. I know you're crying.
Introduce a little anarchy, upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos.
Chaos, man. Deion is prime. It's prime to get
Time. Prime time.
prime. Yes, prime time. I mean, if I'm a corner, because I didn't think he was going to be able to keep pulling off at Jackson State, but now that he's at a Power 5 school, he wants to throw the ball. He's going to get faster and bigger. In fact, man, listen, I give him 3 years. 3 years, he's going to be a powerhouse. I know he wants to do it soon. I'm gonna give him 3 years because I understand there's high expectations. I'm not going to put that on because he's going to a conference that's going to be depleted. That's the difference.
Right. So he doesn't have to play the USCs or he doesn't have to play UCLA.
He's got one season of Oklahoma and Texas, and they're leaving.
He's not in that conference. He's in the Pac-12, not in the Big 12.
That's right. I keep thinking they're in the they switched. You're right.
He's in the Pac-12, so he gets 1 or 2 seasons where he's got UCLA and USC, and then they go to Big 10.
Right. Yes.
Oregon and Washington, are they also gone, or they were looking, right? They were looking.
Yeah,
they were looking. Okay. They were looking.
Okay, so they didn't actually full on commit that they are. So, okay, it's just making sure. But yes, I mean, 2 teams in that conference going bye-bye. So
right
now, does he get a chance to fully build, or does he make another jump? Because I would assume he makes another jump.
If he does good enough, he'll make another jump. He won't stay at Colorado.
So what's the next move?
Hey, Alabama.
Where does he go? It's not.
If Nick Saban leaves,
He'll come back. He'll come back to the South down here somewhere.
So
Alabama.
it's while there
He's
may be
not.
some fans that go for that. I just don't
Come on,
see the
Jason.
university going for that. That's the difference. I don't know if the university would go for it.
The only reason why I say that, man, he's doing commercials.
With
Yes,
Nick Saban.
I know.
Yes, I got
I
you.
know.
That
I
right
got
there
you.
elevates him right there.
He-
I mean, star
No,
power.
I mean he's Deion Sanders for God's sake.
Nick on his way out would have to go ahead and name him as the coach on his way out.
Jay says
Yeah,
Prime wants an NFL job, and he might be right.
That
Prime said
makes-
he'll never take an NFL job. He'll never take an NFL job. No. Too competitive. You know what these guys are making. You know what they're doing. He's kind of like Nick
he's
Saban.
got control too.
He's Nick Saban. He has total control
Yeah.
over everything. Like he got Dallas or Atlanta. Now, if Dallas or Atlanta come calling, then that's a little bit different. That's a little bit different. Two of his favorites. But
You mean he wouldn't want the San Francisco?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean,
those three teams. You're right. I can see. But
he did
coming
play
out of
for
there-
San Fran.
Yeah.
But I seen an interview with him and Shannon Sharp. With Shannon Sharp, he's like, no, he would never take an NFL job.
Yeah, I mean, I think he fits the
No,
mold.
I don't know if he wants to I don't know if he wants to live in. Does he want to live in California? He'd have to make his residence somewhere else.
You know, California, that's gonna be
All them taxes that he'd have to pay and everything like that. Man,
He would definitely go to Dallas though.
You go into the state of Florida where you have no income tax, right? No state income tax.
Right.
Go to the state of Florida.
Probably so.
All right. So the ESPN rankings, class rankings. So the top ACC team, surprisingly, Jay, since you're on with us, by ESPN, the top ACC team in the team rankings is Miami Hurricanes at number 5, leading into National Signing Day tomorrow. Clemson is close, and, depends on who signs what. But, Miami is leading to start the day out tomorrow. The Big Ten, the top Big Ten team, not surprising, is Ohio State at number 8. Michigan and Penn State are in the top 20, but that's it in the Big Ten. The Big 12 is Texas and Oklahoma is 3 and 4, and it could go any way tomorrow.
And what if they no longer are in the Big 12 after? Oh shoot!
Well,
today would be the day, right? That they would have to, or tomorrow would have to be the day that they have to actually.
And they announced the Big 12 schedules today.
Oh, they did. Well. They did.
Yeah.
So they're in it.
Yeah, it's set now. Yeah.
Okay. I was about to say it's like
Yeah. And then the Pac-12, the best team in the Pac-12 in the ESPN rankings leading into the Pac-12 is Oregon at number 9. USC is sitting at 14. And, there's still some stuff going there depending on who will be the top team in the Pac-12. And then the SEC, of course, Alabama's number 1 and Georgia's number 2. And that's the top 2 teams. And it's probably set. Alabama and Georgia are that far ahead. And Georgia still has a couple of people that they might close out and get tomorrow. But even if they get them, Alabama's going to stay at number 1. So the top 2 are pretty much set. And they're both SEC, Alabama and Georgia at number 1 and number 2. So looking at these rankings, the conference rankings, how do y'all, because you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're missing 6, 7, and 10. There's only 3 teams not listed that so my guess is at least 2 of those 3 are SEC teams. That'd be my guess. Maybe 3 of them, but at least 2 of them.
Oh, that's no doubt. That's no doubt. The SEC is going to always.
Clemson is probably in there in that top 10. I would say Clemson and 2 SEC teams are the other top 10 would be my guess.
As the old saying goes, the rich get richer.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, there's no surprise with those top 2 guys, Alabama and Georgia. It seems like year in and year out, then Clemson might come up in there, depending on who's having a good year. I even thought Florida State was going to have a top 10, even though, but I know they lost a lot of recruits. But man, look here.
Jay's throwing in. He says that Harbor, he's here going to go to South Carolina, putting it up on the board. He's one of the 4 remaining top 100 recruits. Harbor is that's available for tomorrow. So Jay's throwing that out there that he's hearing South Carolina. So I just wanted to. He's recruiting limo. He does some stuff for recruiting and stuff. So he is with the fan boys. So I just wanted to throw that in there. But so the new coaches, I want to give a shout out to Zach Arnett, Mississippi State. Having to deal with that program alone, having to deal with what they had to deal with in December, with heart attack of Mike Leach, not knowing what was going to happen, losing Mike Leach, not knowing where the program was going to go with the head coach after all that, having to deal with all that, playing a bowl game, having early signing period right during all that time when players really didn't know, what was going to happen, who their coach was going to be, who the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator was going to be, everything else. Zach Arnett's added about 12 players, and he is expected to sign a top 25 class tomorrow.
Nuts.
With all of that going on. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Zach, who is now the head coach at Mississippi State. I know that Jason here is an Ole Miss guy, so that's their rival. So but in all seriousness,
I can be objective.
In all seriousness, the job that he's done with all that went on is pretty impressive.
No doubt, you're exactly right. Having to come in and keep a program together, dealing with a loss like that.
Yeah,
kudos to him and the entire staff.
Right.
You still got to do a job, even though you're mourning. Trust me, I know. Even though you're mourning, you still got to get up and live every day. You still got to get to it. So, I know. Kudos to them. You're exactly right.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there since we're talking about National Signing Day. Another new coach that they are saying is going to get a top 25 class is Matt Rule from Nebraska.
Matt Rule, well, listen, I would love to be his agent. I would love to be Matt Rule's agent.
I'd like to see what he does with Nebraska. I'm very interested in seeing just what he does over there.
Well, ESPN thinks that he's going to sign a top 25 class when it's all said and done after tomorrow.
Well, I mean, and then again, you just got to see what he does with that. I mean, I think he can develop. So I think he could do this with lesser talent. But I'd like to see what he can bring into Lincoln, and then if he's able to turn that into something, because that half of the conference is pretty weak, and it's only one team that he really has to go through, possibly two, depending on if Iowa,
Fickle's going to probably raise Wisconsin up.
Right. So Wisconsin Wisconsin's the one team I was naming. You got to go through it, but then there's
Illinois,
possibility.
maybe.
Look, Illinois can make noise, but I
I
don't
said
know.
maybe.
I don't know if they're going to be somebody that sticks around at the end. Iowa is a part of it only if they can pretty much bring everybody down to their level. I think that's what it is. It's more just kind of,
Well, I was an
kind of
8-4, 9-3
bring
team every year.
right.
I mean,
And
that's what they
so,
are every year.
right. And so, in order for them to get in, you've got to have everybody have 2 to 3 losses so that they can sneak into, conference championship, stuff like that. Unless, Big Ten decides to go no divisions. And if that happens, then Iowa,
And
Wisconsin,
they
and several
probably
other
will. The
teams will
ACC's going
be
another
will go will be relegated to nothing because you're going to have Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State basically just duke it out.
right.
I think
So,
Rue's going to do it. I think he's going to do a good job. He is known for building programs.
right, and I mean,
I think he got a
he
raw
did it
deal
with
in
he did it with Temple,
Yeah.
he did it with Temple, and then he did it
Right.
with Baylor,
Mhm.
and then of course he left and went to the NFL. But he was doing that at Temple. Temple was starting to become, obviously they're not a powerhouse because they don't play in a powerhouse conference or anything like that. But they were becoming a team, a force to be reckoned with
a
in
competitive
what they
team.
were,
Yeah.
and they were able to knock off some, or at least be competitive with a lot of the bigger teams. And then he went to Baylor and proved that he could do it there at Baylor, and turned Baylor into at least did they win their conference, or was he just kind of just making a lot of noise because he was.
He's
Baylor?
making a lot of noise. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
because I think Oklahoma was always winning it, right?
Yeah.
I think he was right in the mix.
Yeah,
Turning
he was in the-
programs around. I
Yeah,
think he got a raw deal in Carolina. I
Yeah,
think a
well,
lot of his
that's-
players, a lot of them were hurt. I think
yeah,
he
Right.
didn't have a quarterback. They drafted a quarterback. Quarterback got hurt.
Right.
Then quarterback situation.
Right,
So
right.
I think he got a raw deal. But he's walking around with a lump sum of money going to another job. So I think he'll be just fine in Nebraska. I think Nebraska finally got their guy, even though Frost is walking out with a lot of money as well. So
Well, I like Matt Rule, and I think he'll do a pretty good job there. The team with the most to gain tomorrow is probably TCU, and that's because of this Rashad kid.
Yeah.
If he does sign with TCU tomorrow, they definitely are one of the teams with the most to gain. They're looking for a quarterback, so that would be probably the biggest name that you can get. The Harbor kid is one of the other 3 top 4 or top 100 players. And Jay was saying that he's hearing he's going to South Carolina. He is in South Carolina. That's where he is. He's a Clemson fan. He is in South Carolina, so he has kind of ears to the ground there. So that may be true. And then the last really topic I wanted to talk about for National Signing Day is this, and we've already kind of hit on this, but so the job that Deion Sanders has done at Colorado is kind of controversial. And the reason why I say it's controversial is he come in there and basically just told half of those kids, look, I don't want you. Go somewhere else. And he has picked up a ton of transfers and just didn't renew a lot of kids' scholarships. And it's a little bit controversial to do it that way. And, he's picked up, of course, his son is transferring there. The Travis Hunter kid is transferring there from Jackson State. Cavassier Smoke from Kentucky, running back, the second string running back, is transferring to Colorado. So they're picking up some transfer kids as well. But the job he's doing is a little bit controversial, and I just wanted to touch on that. What do you guys think about him just walking in and say, you're not good enough to play for me?
I don't think
That's
that.
that's what he did.
I think the only difference is, I mean, he did it. I think the only difference is just Dion is utilizing the social media era. I think a lot of coaches come in and have those speeches, especially when you're a new coach, because at the end of the day, each coach wants to get their guys in, and
Right.
he wants them to give a chance. And so you can kind of respect how Dion comes in and he's a straight shooter. That's one thing that I know that I respect, and I hated someone who would talk around him instead of just talking him straight to me. Just let me know how you feel so I can adjust. And I think that he came in and but some people not agree with his method, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. But I do think um, that he actually he did it the way he wanted to do it, and he gave those kids a chance to jump in the portal instead of them working out. Because some coaches do this: let you work out to see if you're good enough, and then they'll cut you, and then you're left to find somewhere to go within a couple of weeks. And so at least he gave them 2 months or before they can even close the portal, gave them a chance to do whatever they need to do. But hey, if I'm gonna go down swinging, I'm gonna go down swinging with my guys. Basketball is a little bit different. Football, you can bring in a whole collective, because some teams, especially in basketball, you leave the cupboard is not bare, so you're gonna have to do what you got to do. It's hard to bring a whole new team in
Unless you're the LSU coach.
Right.
But he
and they did it with baseball too. Did you see what they did in baseball? They bought an entire team.
You see what I'm saying?
They did it too in baseball. It's crazy. That's why they're the number one team. They got a bunch of guys that stick around, but then they went and got like 5, 6,
the
7, 8
LSU
different
women's
transfers.
basketball coach kind of done that too.
So LSU was like, you know what, we're going elsewhere.
Whatever her name
new
is,
coach,
think of it.
new LSU.
What's her name, Marky? But the rules
Mulkey or something like that.
Your coach from Baylor. The rules allow you to get good fast now, because kids can transfer and immediately play.
Right. So here's the deal too. Like you were talking about with basketball, the cover being bare. I mean, in basketball, you can flip a roster in 1 year. Football, you don't normally. You're not normally able to flip a roster.
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, there's some teams right now that have over 50 players changed from 1 year to the next.
Yeah, unless you are, Dion, who just goes, okay, you know what, all of you out.
And that's what Dion did.
And then I'm going to bring in everybody in.
Half of you guys, I'm sorry, but you ain't
good enough to play. And then you have like Texas A&M that brings in the highest ever recruited class last year, and then most of them are out the door this year. They're somewhere else. So, but
the rules allow it. The rules allow it.
The rules allow it.
Yeah, the rules allow it now.
Hey, until you change the rules, and again, I mean, it's just
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey guys, so I want to mention our 2023 nonprofit organization that the Fanboys is backing and a part of and would like your support for is Home for Our Troops. This is an organization that builds homes for wounded and injured veterans. And let's say you live in New York and you want to move to Arizona, they will build you a house in Arizona. For every dollar that you give, 90 cents of that dollar goes towards building homes for the wounded veterans. And we ask that you give at www.hfotusa.org. All right, guys. So our next topic is going to be our pick six. This is going to be kind of a hard one. I want y'all to rank your top 6 conferences in basketball. I know after the SEC Big 12 challenge this past weekend, it's a good time to kind of have this topic. But I do want to throw out there's two conferences that I don't think a lot of people would naturally think about. So before we get started, the Big East has got some really good teams in it,
Right.
and I want to throw that out there to you guys, and also the Mountain West, and they probably don't get near the love. But so, Jason, where would you go for your top six conferences in basketball right now? Setting basically January 31st, February 1st, about 5 6 weeks, about 6 weeks away from March Madness.
Uh, honestly, I mean, man, looking at it, I would have to say top conference. My opinion right now would have to be the Big 12. I would go Big 12 one. Um, I probably I would go I would go SEC two. I would go Big 10 three. I would go probably the Pac 12 at four, and at 5 and 6. Only reason I'm gonna go five, the American Conference, because of the Houston, the Memphis, and the teams that are in there. And my
That's true.
sixth one, and my sixth one would probably be a toss up either between and I didn't say the ACC. I don't think I would say
No,
the
you haven't.
ACC. I would say the A. So I might have to reorder that. I'm thinking about it. Okay, I'll go Big 12 one, Big 10 SEC two, ACC three, Big 10 four, American five, and then I will go the Big East six. That will be my top six right there.
So you're taking the Pac-12 out?
I'm taking the Pac-12 out.
You know, the Pac 12 is top heavy with Arizona and UCLA, but they are top 10 teams.
They're top 10 team, but I think collectively, the Big East with you got Providence, you got
The ACC
you got
barely has any top 20 teams right now.
better conference though.
Correct.
To me, better conference. You got Miami, Virginia, Clemson. Even though Clemson went down, then you still got Duke, North Carolina. You still have teams that I
Wait,
feel
who
like
went down?
weight went down. You still got 6 teams that could possibly make it. Now you looking at the Pac-12, you might just have maybe those 2 teams that make it because
Arizona State will probably make it, but outside of them, I'm not real sure.
You see what I'm saying? Even though you have 2 rings, I'm just looking at the collective league, like top to bottom. What are your top 16? And I don't think that they have a top 16 that you
I
can
got
probably
you.
respect.
I just wanted to throw it out there that they have two top 10 teams. So, all
Kind of
right,
like the American, kind of like the American team. They have,
yeah, the American would be up in there too. But I actually think the Mountain West would probably be overall a better graded conference than the American.
I can agree.
All right, Roberts, what do you say?
I'm going to agree with Jason on the top 3. So Big 12, SEC, Big 10. Big 12. I mean, obviously they got several different teams that are up there, and then the SEC just seems to be very steady. You got a couple of elite teams in Alabama and Tennessee. And you've got a team that can be elite if they ever decide to with Kentucky. A&M is starting to come on strong. Auburn's been up there, but it just doesn't seem like they're going to be. They're not an elite team. They're a good team, but they're not elite. Georgia's come way back down to earth. Arkansas has been hit with an injury bug that would have had them up there. And so, for the most part, the SEC is got several good teams. The middle of the SEC can go up against a lot of different conferences. The bottom is still weak. the top is very strong. Big Ten, obviously they've got the best team in the country. They've got the number one team in the country. With I don't know how you can defend Edie.
I mean, he's 7'4".
He's 7'4". If you get the ball in there, it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Foul and hope he misses.
Yeah.
Kind of all at the same time.
Jason, he's 2 feet taller than you.
Hey, listen. Hey, what's funny is, have you seen the picture with Joel Embiid and Kevin Hart? That's how I would look next to him. If you ever see that picture, they was on the field of the game.
It's like looking at Aaron Judge and Altuve right next to each other.
Exactly.
I mean, look, what's crazy is Stanton and Aaron Judge are on the same team. Okay, Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge are on the same team. Giancarlo Stanton by himself is a massive dude.
Boy.
And Aaron Judge dwarfs him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, and then this guy would dwarf Aaron Judge as far as height, but, as far as...
Edie's crazy. I mean, he's like the Yao Ming of
and taller
basketball right now.
and still taller.
Yeah.
So, like I said, Big 12, SEC, Big 10. ACC's got a bunch of average, and I know this is where you went on your fourth. They've got a bunch of average teams, and there are a bunch of teams that could beat you in the tournament. But I don't know, like, whether I want to put them right there at number 4 or not. Like, it's a lot of blue bloods. It's a lot of teams. It's a lot of stuff like that. And I mean, heck, the team that's leading the ACC is not necessarily known for its basketball prowess, And so, I mean, they're not known for being a basketball school, and yet here they are leading the ACC. Yes, they went down today, but I don't think it really matters.
They're on a backward spiral, I believe, right this minute.
Well, again, at the moment they were at the top, and
right,
halfway through the conference schedule, and you're at the top. That's still got to count for something. It's not gonna. You may not remember it a few years down the road, when you're talking about the season if they don't do anything, but it is, being halfway through the conference and you're leading it the way that you are. 5 and 6. I mean, I would rather go Big East, and Mountain West on that. Just do those 3, those 2 right there. We'll go there.
Okay.
So
I think those are good conferences. Here's my deal. The Big 12, in my opinion, top to bottom, is by far the best conference. I mean,
right.
Oklahoma smashing Emma at home over the weekend.
Absolutely drilled them.
Did nothing but prove that, because Oklahoma's like the 9th ranked team in the Big 12 out of 10 teams, so
yeah,
I mean,
they are.
To me that proved that. Okay. I'm going to put the SEC there at number 2, even though I think with Arkansas and Kentucky not playing up to what their expectations were preseason, I think that kind of puts the SEC on a little bit of a slide. However, you look at the Big Ten, and a lot of people are saying the Big Ten is one of the top conferences and going to get 7, 8, 9. I've even seen 10 teams in. And you look at the conference, and I think that's ridiculous, a ridiculous number. They are full of 12 and 7, 13 and 8 teams. And I just don't see
cannibalization. That's cannibalization right there.
I just don't see that they get that many teams in. I'm going to say 6 or 7 at the absolute most. I will put them in the 3rd spot. The ACC, yes, Duke is down a little bit. North Carolina's down a little bit. NC State looks like a pretty good team. Virginia is, I think, one of the top teams in the country.
Right.
Miami is a good team. Could they beat you in the tournament? Yes, they probably could, but they also could slide and lose first or second round in the NCAA tournament as well.
Mhm.
But when you look at the bottom half of the ACC, it's like, whoa. Okay. Georgia Tech and Louisville are disastrous. I mean, disastrous. Okay. So you look at the bottom half, there's 14 teams, there's 7 teams with a chance to make the tournament. I think it'll wind up being 5 or 6, but there's 7 teams right now with a chance to make the tournament. The bottom half, the bottom 7 of the ACC is pretty terrible. I mean, when I say terrible, the bottom 3 are some of the worst Power 5 teams in the country.
Would you say just worst in the worst Power 5, or would they just be like worse in like, you know?
And maybe 300, like
Be in
325
the
teams.
be in the 300s bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is what Louisville in the 300s bad?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. So the bottom half of the ACC is horrendous. And then, so, you know, I'm going to put the Pac-12 as my 4 spot. And I'm doing that simply with Arizona and UCLA carrying the whole conference. USC has a chance. Arizona State has a chance to make the NCAA tournament. Oregon is outside chance, probably no. And then you have Washington, that's a decent team. And outside of that, there's nobody else in that conference that's really worth even talking about for the NCAA tournament. You know, so I'm going to put the Pac-12 in my 4th spot. I'm going Big East 5. The Big East has Xavier. They have Marquette, who are 2 of the better teams in the country right now. And you have Providence and you have UConn. You know, and those are all ranked teams. I think the Big East is number 5. And then I'm going to put the ACC as my 6th. And I'm sliding them in at 6 over the Mountain West. And if you don't know, go look at the Mountain West. They have San Diego State. They have New Mexico. They have Boise State. They have Nevada. And they have UNLV, who all could be top teams and make the tournament. If you don't know, go check out the Mountain West. They are a conference you do not want to be matched up with to have to play a first or second round game in the NCAA tournament. That's all I'm going to say. I'm serious. Go check them out. They play some really good basketball out there.
They do. They do. Historically, they've always been good. Especially, you know, even though they come on a little bit later, sometimes around 10, 11 Central Time. But, man, they play some basketball on the West Coast. Most definitely, man. I did not like playing those teams because you never knew much about them until when you start seeing they can really shoot the ball. They can really play the game the right way, and they execute. Everybody out there executes. So you're right. That's the 10 come March no one wants to see.
Yep. So our next segment is the no-fly zone. Only got 2 topics tonight on the no-fly zone. The first one is I seen this from a bracketologist today. He was posting this on Twitter, and he posted a couple of things about this, and it kind of brought to my head to mention this in our no-fly zone segment. So he said that a head coach matters more than a school's basketball pedigree. And he put some samples out to back that up. And one of them was he used Sean Miller at Xavier. He used Shaka Smart at Marquette. And he also used Kenny Payne at Louisville. And he's saying that the head coach makes a bigger difference than a school's pedigree. Are you going to fly or no fly with that?
That's kind of a jaded remark, in my opinion, because no matter who your coach is at any institution, right, they still have to have the ability to attract players to their institution. So, you know what, that would fly. I mean, it really does matter. The coach who's at your institution really does matter. So I can agree with that. That's a fly.
So I mean, Louisville has a pedigree. I mean, they're top 10 in all-time wins, and Kenny Payne's never been a head coach before, and it doesn't seem to be helping him that he's at Louisville.
Well, Kenny Payne,
if you get what I'm saying.
Kenny Payne played at Louisville, and
he
got the job. He got the job so late that by the time he got the job, he couldn't go recruit. So there was
a transfer window open that he could have done, but that's about it.
But you
okay, what about Gillespie at Kentucky, right? Isn't that his name, Gillespie?
Yeah.
Billy Gillespie, yeah.
Billy Gillespie, right? Mm-hmm. So
Kentucky's pedigree didn't help him.
I was going to say, did Kentucky's pedigree help him?
It didn't.
But the coach has to matter, but it has to be the coach.
Right. Okay.
That's what this is saying.
Yeah, the coach has got to think about this. Were we talking? And I know it's not the same thing, but were we talking about Colorado? Was anybody talking about Colorado?
No.
Colorado was known for back in the day. Cordell Stewart,
Buffaloes.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
1991. Or 92, something like that.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
it's been 30 years since Colorado.
Rashawn.
Yeah, you're right. Now, was Xavier ranked? What was Xavier ranked last year at all?
I don't know if they were last year. I don't remember it.
Xavier's always been one of those that's been like teetering from being, outside, kind of being.
Well, they have been a little bit over the years, yeah.
But they've never been like a team that's just like playing over the top,
They look like a top 10, 12, 15 team. I mean, for sure in the country.
Right.
Marquette has got Shaka Smart. And if y'all watch Marquette, man, I'm telling you, Marquette is playing some ball.
But
right.
Shaka is a good coach, though.
Shaka but that's what he's saying. That's exactly what he's saying, because Shaka did it at VCU, didn't really do it at Texas as much, but is doing it at Marquette. So, I mean, you could say that Shaka doesn't maybe.
I'd say Texas is regretting that decision about right now.
Well,
yeah, but I mean, no, because here's the deal.
That was a Beard issue, and Beard is my guy. Beard just made a costly mistake, and
I've just had to throw that out there.
Right. I think that's more institution there. Texas is their own worst enemy, and so it's not necessarily. I think the institution gets in the way of the coach at Texas. Whereas, because that happens with the head coach of football, that happens with basketball, and I'm sure that, I mean, you just don't necessarily see it a whole. I mean, they had one of the most famous coaches for baseball, Augie Garrido over there, so who made other stops, along the way to getting to Texas. So I mean, you could say that, maybe they allowed him to do his thing there, but I don't know. Texas seems to get in the way of their coaches.
So are y'all flying on the head coach matters more than a school's pedigree?
What? I mean, so
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so, because I mean, like, Alabama had a really good pedigree, in the 70s and 80s. Auburn had a good pedigree in the 80s. But then, several different head coaches. Godfrey was good at times, also not so great. And then, but Alabama, fell off. You had other you had other head coaches that came through and you thought were going to be good. The guy that followed Shaka Smart at VCU came to Alabama, and
Who's
or
that?
so you
Jay
got
Grant.
yeah,
You talking about Grant?
right,
Grant,
Grant,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
who was at Florida as an assistant, I think, before
Yeah.
that. So
he was with Benedict. I remember.
right,
He was.
and so you had something like that, and then of course teams like Auburn. Auburn had had success in the 80s.
Hey, look.
And then in the 90s didn't have anything, and then of course you get Bruce Pearl in.
Pearl has made a difference.
Yeah, and I think it's all been from Pearl, because look, what's his name, the assistant over, well, he was at Kentucky. I think he's now a head coach somewhere else at a small school. Came from Maryland, followed.
Oh yeah, was that
What's his
Auburn?
name over there? Yeah. Anyway, he came in, had the new arena,
Yeah.
and absolutely just crapped
Yeah,
the
but
bed.
he stunk it up, man.
Right, he did.
That's
He
what I'm saying.
did.
Now, who
He
was the
did.
coach at Auburn before Bruce Pearl? I can't even remember. Who was coach?
It was a Kentucky assistant, and went back to being a Kentucky assistant.
He went back.
And then, but now he's a head coach at a small school.
Yeah, he's somewhere else now.
And then
thank
he
goodness.
tweeted out.
We finally got rid of him.
He tweeted out a picture of the barn. What was the barn? Which is the old gymnasium on Auburn's campus when it burned down during the LSU game in 1996. And you could see it like behind the football stadium as the game is going. You can just see this massive cloud of smoke and flames and everything like that. And after he was fired from Auburn, he had tweeted out that picture and then said, "Who watched it burn?"
Wow.
And then Auburn takes a chance on Bruce Pearl, who was still in his
He was in that
show cause, and he could not recruit for like 6 months after he was hired. Auburn went ahead and hired him before he was out of the show cause, just so that they could have him on, retained, so the moment he's done, he's with Auburn. And it's made every bit of difference. I mean, and he's brought them back to having consistent success. Cliff Ellis had like every other year he would have a successful team, but it was never really like consistent success. It would be 1 year they're in the tournament, the next year not even making the NIT, next year in the tournament, next year not in the NIT, like really bad. So
all right, so my last topic really for the no-fly zone is, so there are some Miami fans who are trying to push for Dan Mullen to be the OC in Miami because they fired Gaddis last week, and they are OC. That's not my question. My question is, would that be a smart move for Dan Mullen to go to Miami?
If he wants to get back into coaching, it might be a smart move. As if he just wants to get back in, but if he just want to sit and wait on his next head coaching job, I don't think it would be a good idea. It depends on, like I said, on what he wants to do.
There's another more successful team. There's two more successful teams that are without OCs
there's
right now.
For sure. There's one for sure that I.
There's two.
I don't see him going to
There's
Alabama.
one in this state.
Yes.
And there's one in the state directly to the east of us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's because
Monken is not there.
That's right. Monken left too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
there are other jobs that if he wants to get in as an offensive coordinator, there are other jobs open right now that are much better than Miami.
Exactly. Listen,
I agree.
Miami's a mess. Miami's been a mess for 15, 20 years. In my opinion, it's an absolute no-fly. Dan Mullen, don't even think about going to Miami. That's my position. That's my
Agreed.
position on it.
Agreed.
I mean, don't even think about it. And you're absolutely right. Saban needs a defensive coordinator and an offensive coordinator. Both.
And the defensive coordinator that they're pushing for the most right now is, I think, Pruitt, and he's still
I
in
keep
that.
hearing Jeremy Pruitt,
And he's still in that show cause. And the question is will the university sign off on going and getting them? But then there's been this other defensive coordinator that's emerged, and this has got to be the funniest one yet, because if this guy goes there, I am going to celebrate.
I know
that he is there.
But listen, it's not going to make.
Oh my God!
Everybody that goes there is successful. There's never. I mean, everybody.
This would be.
I know who you're fixing to say. He was with Dan Mullen at Florida,
and at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And then he also went to Louisville.
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yes.
No, he was at Georgia. Sorry, he was at Georgia. So,
yeah, but he stayed with Dan Mullen for a lot of years.
Oh, come on. I want this guy to show up.
Maybe they
Alabama.
get him and Dan Mullen as the offensive and defensive coordinator.
That would be hilarious. Offense would be good. Defense would be trash. Saban would take over halfway through it and just be like, "You're fired." And who we're talking about, in case you don't know, if you're not in the know, is Todd Grantham.
Todd Grantham. Yep.
Todd Grantham, man.
But
so
he is
oh
looking
my God.
for an OC and a DC.
He is. Honestly, Pruitt makes the most sense, even though
but that show cause
he's got the show cause, and I don't know exactly when that ends.
Yeah.
What he can and can't do, but
that means he can't recruit.
Yes, but when can he start?
Right.
That's the question is when can he start? He's still in battles with the NCAA right now, so I don't know exactly what's going on. I mean, he basically screwed up a year or two before the NIL and decided to pay some players.
Absolutely.
Putting all the money in McDonald's bags. That's funny. Hey, here's your NIL deal. It's a Happy Meal. Aren't you happy?
Happy Meal.
There's a toy inside too.
No
there's a toy inside. Come on. So again, he was. I mean, I don't know the full on, story behind everything. I mean, if it's just the paying the players, again, I think every university was guilty of it, and he got caught. So,
well, I know, but I'm just saying they're looking for an OC and a DC, and they've teamed up several times before. So you got Dan Mullen and Grantham.
I think I would be entertained.
Just saying.
With this one, I think I would actually be entertained.
It's an outside shot, and I've got it up there.
You know me with chaos, and this would be the best chaos ever. And yes, I would love it if that happened.
Saban has been successful. I don't give a crap. I mean, look what he did for Sark.
Yeah,
Sark was trashed.
I'm wondering right now.
He's running Texas.
Yeah, but he was trashed. He was trashed because of multiple things, not just because of on the field. It was a lot of off the field stuff that he was dealing with.
But he wasn't that great on the
He
field.
went he went through the Saban rehab.
I'm just saying, look what he did to Sark, and look what Sark got out of it and everything. I mean, come on.
But again, Sark as an offensive coordinator was still really good. So it was Sark as a head coach, and we still don't know if Sark as a head.
What he did for Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien again was an okay, offensive coordinator.
He was
not a great head coach. So, I mean, he was a stand-in guy after the Joe Paterno stuff at Penn State. He's the one that righted the ship, kind of paved the way for James Franklin. He came from New England, who Saban's mentor.
For Lane Kiffin.
Again, Lane Kiffin as an offensive coach is a good coach. Lane Kiffin as a head coach is not great. I mean,
I could just keep naming.
And Sark and Lane Kiffin worked together at USC. They were basically a spitting image of each other. So,
and both of them, Sark was trashed, and Kiffin just had a major image problem.
Because Kiffin's a child, a man-child,
and a jerk,
and a man-child. He was immature because he was given the keys to the kingdom at like 35 or 30 or something like that. I mean,
I'm
he was
sorry, I was
young.
a joke. He wasn't 21.
He was 10. He was. But see,
What's
I mean,
up,
like
Drew?
the thing about like Kiffin was good because of like what made him a successful offensive coordinator is that he was beating his dad's
Sark
defense.
is terrible, by the way, Drew.
Growing up. So but I'm just again, each of these guys are great, colonels, great lieutenants, whatever you want to call them, but they weren't great, admiral, captain, whatever you want to name for the head coach. They were fine.
But Sark was
in that assistant role.
Over several, and he comes in there and works for Saban, and he is gifted the Texas Longhorns. I mean, come on.
Boy.
Yes. And what has he done with it?
If he can resurrect Sark, I think he can resurrect Grantham.
We don't know if Sark is resurrected. It's too early.
He's already resurrected him once. He got the job, for God's sakes.
He got the job. Okay, cool. What has he done with it?
I already know.
He's gotten yours. He's got yours. He's got Manning coming in. But are they still gonna? He's a jerk. He yelled at whoever that was that touched him when he was trying to come out of the tunnel.
Absolutely,
absolutely.
I've seen it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
On him. That was.
Get your
that video is absolutely stupid because think about this. The guy touches him the guy touches him and then he like takes 2 or 3 steps away and then comes back and then goes straight into the guy's ear. And it was like,
and goes,
so you didn't immediately react. You walked away and then you turned around and decided, no, F this, we're going right at him. Like he was like, I'm walking away. No,
I know.
And it's like that is weird. That just
I'm just
weird.
saying to y'all, Sark was dead in the water for college football until Saban came along. That's all I'm saying. And we were talking about Todd Grantham, and all I'm saying to you is I haven't seen a coach yet go to Alabama and Saban not resurrect their career. Not one.
Where's Gaddis?
He just got fired. He just got fired from Miami.
This is now being fired twice, right? Since leaving Alabama.
Yeah.
He was at Michigan.
I didn't say.
Then he went to Miami. You said resurrected. I'm still trying to figure out where they were resurrected.
Enough that they land in jobs.
Okay, Saban to a lot of these that he can't resurrect. I don't know if you understand that he doesn't fire coaches. He goes and gets them jobs elsewhere. Okay, and he says, "Hey, how about you take this job? I know it's the same as the one you have here. You know, how about you go be an offensive coordinator over there? Or how about you go here? Let me call up my friend Lane Kiffin. How about you go be the same position over there with him? Hey, let's call
Mike Stoops as a defensive coordinator. Is that what you're talking about, Drew?
Let's call my good friend Bill Belichick. Let's just get you back in your old NFL job. Hey, you know, let's make a few phone calls and I'll get you a job over here.
But these guys wouldn't get jobs if it wasn't for Saban.
Right. You're right. They wouldn't get jobs if it wasn't for Saban. But it's not what they're doing on the field.
Okay.
Saban made a phone call and he gave them a job.
They're doing well enough that Alabama's 12-0, 11-1, 10-2 every darn year and winning a championship while they're there, or close to winning a championship.
Maybe it's the head coach.
Oh, he's saying Mike Stoops isn't resurrected. Yeah, he's at Kentucky as a linebacker coach right now. So, and he's only been there.
That's just because his brother is the head coach.
But he's only been there 1 year, and that was last year. And we kind of took a little nosedive last year, so I'm not convinced that that's a good one or not. So, anyways. I'm still not convinced on that one. But anyway, so that's it for our show. We do have a big announcement to that.
Let's go ahead and run down. Let's go ahead and run down what we've got going on so far. So on Thursday we will have Peter Burns of the SEC Network, ESPN. He's going to be on with us at 8:00. This show will actually be a shortened show. We will have him for about 15 minutes. The show itself will only be about 30. I know we normally go an hour or an hour and 15, hour and 17. I don't know who long, but this one will be at 30 minutes. Will be a hard cutoff there. But and then I think Sunday is our normal wrap up show for the week.
Week wrap up show.
Right, but Tuesday, right here on these interweb nets, we will have the head baseball coach of Auburn, Butch Thompson, will be a guest on our show Tuesday at 8 p.m. So everybody,
Central Time.
Yes, 8 p.m. Central Time, right here.
Yep. So we have some big things coming up, guys. On Thursday night this week, we have Peter Burns at 8:00 Central Time. And again, that will be a shortened show. And then we will do our Thursday, our Sunday show for our wrap-up show. And then next Tuesday, the Auburn Tigers baseball coach, Butch Thompson, will be right here on College SportsCast at 8:00 Central Time. So that's our big announcement for today. We are lining up some really good and really big guests along the way, and we appreciate each and everybody that we have been contacting and trying up. So we just a big, huge thanks to guys who are saying yes to us and coming on our show.
That's right.
Right?
Indeed.
No doubt.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's.
I'm going to say right now, John got the Midas touch. He got the Midas touch.
John does get the credit. He contacted through the SID just in case the fanboys is on here. We did it the right way. We've been working on this for about a month. And John actually knows Butch Thompson. They worked together. He was manager on the Auburn staff before several years ago. So
yes, several years ago.
Yep. So I just want to point out that John's the one that gets the credit for this.
John is the man. I'm reading these comments. Y'all get all the gifts. Yes. Thanks to Mr. John.
I got a few more lined up too. So they're just got to talk to y'all off air, and we may have a few more lined up throughout the whole month of February. We may have a packed February.
So stay tuned, like, subscribe. We're on YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel. We're on fanboys.com. We're a part of them. Go to them. You can find us on there as well. We're on Apple, Spotify. Find us, like, share, rate, comment, follow us, because we are growing and we are getting some big time guests and doing some good shows and big time stuff. And catch us. That's all I'm going to say. Rate us as well.
That has to be a joke. Yes, rate us.
Yep. So before we get off here, I want to do the prize picks things again. Use our promo code CSCast at prizepicks.com for a 100% deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is the most fun way for daily fantasy sports, known for its wide range of stats to use and 30-plus sports to choose from, including the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, college football, and basketball. Make sure to use our promo code CSCast to double your entry deposit for your daily Prize Picks fun. All right, guys. Is there any other announcements that we need to make?
Sean Payton to the Denver Broncos. Man, we didn't get a chance to talk about that.
Was that the dun-dun-dun?
Is it done?
Right there?
Yeah, it's done. It's been this. I meant to say it earlier, but I just waited because our conversation was so intense and so good that it didn't need to interrupt anything we were saying. But yeah, they gave up a first-round pick, 23 first-round pick, and a second-round pick, 2024, to get.
Peace out, Real Fresh. Howie Fresh, we appreciate you being on with us. So Sean Payton's going to the Denver Broncos.
Russell Wilson will be a better quarterback.
Hey, that should help Russell Wilson. That's for sure.
And those receivers, and all those receivers, they're gonna show up that offensive line for sure now. But that's all I got. Kentucky is winning. But yeah.
Well, they should, dadgummit. You know they do darn well should.
Man.
All right, guys.
But we're making a run, so we'll talk about this on the next show.
Yeah.
All right. So remember, Thursday night we will be here with Peter Burns. So catch us with the SEC Now, SEC This Morning host, and we will have him on and have a great show for you on Thursday night at 8:00. We will see you down the road.
See you later.